And now, my beautiful Reverend Ellen, Dr. Reverend Ellen Contente.
Thank you. Let's give Liza, Reverend Liza, another round of applause.
Thank you, thank you.
So now you're going to see another example of the generation difference. Although I have to say that Reverend James, who is older than me by only a few years, he does use technology, but I don't trust technology. I've had so many challenges with technology. And it's interesting, when Liza and I were deciding on our talk title, I think one of the things we were also a little concerned, I won't say we were concerned about it, but one of the things we asked each other last night is, what if we say the exact same thing? And the truth is, if we did say the exact same thing, that would be fine, because everybody has a different interpretation of the exact same thing. And I am going to be talking about freedom. And the good news is we didn't use the same exact quotes. So this will be a little bit different. But I do want to start off with what Ernest Holmes says about freedom. And he said the divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. The inherent nature of man is to constantly be seeking freedom, the need to be free. And since the beginning of time, that's what man has been doing. And even the birth of this nation, 244 years ago, we fought for independence and freedom. Freedom from the oppression of the king of England. And today, people are still fighting the oppression. As Liza talked about in her talk, what's going on out in the world, people are oppressed. And I looked up the definition of the word oppression, and another definition is mental distress. And I would say that all of us are dealing with oppression. And, we want to be free from this pandemic. We are locking ourselves up in our homes, right? And almost feeling like caged animals. At least I'm speaking for myself. So I'm grateful to be here right now. But Osho said that, or Rajneesh, he later became known as Osho. He said that true freedom is always spiritual. It cannot be chained, handcuffed, or jailed. And yet that's exactly what we do to ourselves. We live our lives in chains, and we never even know we have the key. So I don't know how many of you know the reference to that Eagles song. But, what do you chain yourself to? What are you chained to? Are you chained to work? Your partners, the TV, refrigerator? Maybe I'm just talking about my own life. But here's the truth. I mean, these last few months since the pandemic, stay at home, work at home, school your children at home. Luckily, mine are 21, but they still live at home. But these last few weeks, last few months, I feel like I've literally been chained to my desk. And first of all, I am very blessed that I still get to work, but all of my live on-site trainings that I do were wiped off my calendar. They slowly, eventually got put on virtual, and I've done every virtual platform, I think, on the planet. I'm having a little bit of Zoom fatigue right now, but this past week, I think I put in multiple 12, 15-hour days, from doing webinars that started at 7 a.m. for a GE and on the East Coast, all the way to 8 o'clock at night to, I think, a global insurance company for their China group, but chained to my desk. And, what do we do when we want to escape? We go into the living room and we become couch potatoes, usually too exhausted to even go for a walk, but binge in front of the TV and trying to escape by watching Netflix. How many of you watch your favorite shows on Netflix? So trying to escape my own private prison, watching Ozark, which is... That didn't do it. Then I think I moved over to Dr. Foster, which I just discovered and binged watched in 2 days. But unfortunately, the characters were dealing with very similar issues to mine. So don't go watch them because then you'll know what some of the issues are that I'm dealing with. But here's the truth. If we continue to chain ourselves to our baggage, we will never be free. Thich Nhat Hanh said, letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in your heart you still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, you cannot be free. And we know possessions don't make us happy. I mean, they might spark some joy for a little bit, and then we put them in the back of our closet and we kind of forget about them. And, you know, the science of well-being and happiness teaches us that possessions do not keep us happy. So like a lot of us that have been home cleaning out the closets, I have, I think, 10 bags in my trunk right now of clothes between my closet, my kids' closet that we want to get rid of. But are we willing to clean out the closets of our minds and our hearts? You know, in the recesses of those closets, if you are still holding on to past transgressions, shame, guilt, you will never be free, and you will never be happy. You have to be willing to let go of all of that. You know, so many people are suffering right now, and it's not just race relations. Right? People are suffering in their relationships. Liza talked about how great it is to be home with family. Not so much. When you have to, you know, when you're literally underfoot in a tiny apartment and you have to school your kids, you have to take care of your kids, and you have to work, relationships are suffering. Health is suffering. Not just COVID-19, but the COVID-15 that's going around. All right, it's not 15, it's only 5, but on this frame, it feels like 15, right? And our gyms have been closed, so some of us are working out at home. I started running, and actually started a half-marathon training program on my phone, but then it got, woohoo! But then all the races got canceled. I'm actually doing a virtual race on Tuesday for National Ice Cream Day, so come into my neighborhood, and you can cheer me on. But our health is suffering. And the truth is, our mental health is suffering. Our mental health is suffering. You know, if the mind is the birthplace of freedom, then why do we keep locking ourselves up with self-limiting beliefs? Beliefs that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that we can't have what we want in our lives. We keep ourselves in these chains. And, you know, even when we do go out and try to make things better with all the protests or the marches, however, you know, whatever your viewpoint is, but when we don't see the changes that we want or as quickly as we want, we retreat back, kind of like a turtle who pokes his head out, and then we retreat back and we just settle. We settle for, oh, well, that's the way it is. Thomas Merton said, the biggest human temptation is to settle for too little. Now, I thought the biggest human temptation was ice cream sandwiches, because I think I have eaten one every single day since this pandemic. But we settle for too little because of fear. Because of fear, we're afraid to have what we want, right? And so we do what we all know affectionately here is the spiritual bypass. We say, it's all good, everything's okay, everything's good, right? And it's true. I mean, it is all good, and it is important to be grateful because gratitude is another gateway to happiness. And we absolutely should be grateful for what we have. But it's okay to be grateful and want more. That is the divine urge, the creative process. To want more, be more, have more. Of course we want to have more. Of course we want our relationships to be better. We want our communities to be better. But what do? Right? We allow fear, the chains of fear and doubt to keep us down. Shakespeare said that our doubts are traitors, and they make us lose the good we oft might win for fear of attempting. And that was my attempt at a Broadway reference. Theatrical, right? So it passes. But when we doubt that we can have what we want, we don't attempt. We're afraid to try. We need to let go of the fear and the doubt that's holding us back, that's holding us down. When we step into the freedom of who we are, right? When we remember who we are, our authentic selves, it is only in that place where love and compassion reside. When we know who we are, we will win at everything. It is in this place that we recognize our connectiveness to everything and everyone on this planet. And in homage to John Lewis, who just passed away, our civil rights icon, he said, "We're a family. We all live in the same house." And it is only when we can truly recognize that and live that will we all be free. Namaste.